Welcome back to WKY.
Hey there, Joe. It's good to see you.
We were talking a little bit earlier. You realize you've been coming here for years.
Yeah, well, it's my hometown, so I think when I started putting out, little songs and small records that I recorded in my basement, I would call up you guys, and I also grew up basically on the Wood Songs Old Time Radio Hour.
That's right. And the first time we recorded you here was way back in 2003. You had put out a little self-produced album.
Yep.
Just Ben, you called it.
Yeah.
Is it embarrassing to look back on that stuff?
It's not embarrassing. I'm pretty proud.
Proud that you've
having made stuff in the basement, but definitely glad that wasn't a national release.
You were using guitar a lot in those recordings. You were playing a lot of guitar stuff.
Well, there was a time when I hadn't quite figured out how I was going to do the whole cello and singing thing, and to be perfectly honest, there was also not really a clear path of why or how to do that, and there's still not. There's not a clear beacon or shining example in the past of some great famous singing folk pop cellist. You've
paved the way in a lot of ways.
Well, maybe so, and it's been fun. I definitely revel in the fact that I can take and add sounds liberally and not really live up to any example or be compared to anything. So it's fun that way, but it took a little while to gain the skills to do that, and I think the guitar was definitely a gateway instrument for me.
Do you still write on guitar at all?
I still use the guitar to write, and I use the piano, but more and more the cello has kind of become such a part of my nervous system that it's very comfortable to write on these days.
Well, when you have a signature instrument like you do, you kind of want to keep that, because it definitely gives you the edge over a lot of other singer-songwriters.
I think so. I'm not very good at thinking about that. I'm not good at thinking about the branding or the marketing of it, or even just the competitive edge in the audience's mind. What I am good at, certainly, is exploring the cello and finding sounds that I really love on them. And over the years, I've become less apologetic about that being unusual and more excited about just doing that.
When you talk about exploring the sound of the cello, you play acoustic cello primarily, but you do have an electric one as well, right?
Oh, I got all kinds of wild cellos in the backyard, the garage, so to speak, where we're just working on different ideas. But there's no Fender making cello. Mm-hmm. There's no, Gibson style cello. There's nothing that can just be a working man's sort of cello. Most of them are very nice, many very old instruments that are generally played in controlled environments like concert halls. And so when it came time for me to take this gig out into rock clubs and dirty bars and outdoor venues, I really needed to discover or find something that would work for that. So I bought this old cello. Her name's Kay.
Kay.
And I got her off eBay for $200. And she's very much like the cello that I picked up and started playing in public schools here in Lexington when I was 9 years old. And not a nice cello, but one that I've built up to play like a nice cello and be very, very reliable, very rock solid, so she can handle bike tours, and she can handle playing outdoors at Phoenix Friday.
Exactly. So what exactly do you do to make that better than it is? I mean, you change the neck on it or something, or?
Well, better is the tricky word here, because generally I'm not playing her in concert halls. Mm-hmm. So she doesn't need to be quite as alive and resonant as a nice classical cello. She can be a little bit more less resonant, because that actually helps when you're amplifying on a big rock club PA. And also, I built the neck with my luthier so that it plays like my really nice cello. I actually matched that. And I put mechanical tuners on her and put a ebony topper on the bridge like you would see on a jazz guitar or on a banjo to help keep all the different stuff true, all the chords and stuff. Because often I play all these different chords on the cello that require me being able to reach across and be able to play in tune across the cello. And often most cellists, when we're trained, we spend a lot of time playing very linearly on the instrument. Uh-oh, hang on. And that is nice, and you don't have to be so reliant on the bridge being nice and straight and true. But I need to really rely on that. So I've borrowed and stolen techniques and building things from other instruments to be able to accomplish that.
Well, it's a pretty cool-looking instrument, and again, that's not one that you're necessarily going to be able to bring to Phoenix Friday on August 22nd.
Oh, this is K.
Oh, you're going to play that.
This is the Rode
That's the
instrument.
beast.
It's made for things like Phoenix Fridays.
What are you going to be playing on Friday, next Friday?
Well, just be celebrating a lot of my Kentucky roots music, playing things that are influenced by the bluegrass and the old-time music that I grew up with, but also playing a lot of my original songs that people, thankfully, have come to love over the years, and some brand new material from my EP that we're going to put out this fall, and many, many more things.
Why don't you treat our listeners to something brand new, something that they may hear if they come out next Friday. That's August 22nd down at Phoenix Park. Again, information at WUKY.org. This is Ben Sollee with a new song. What's it called, Ben?
This is a song that is very new enough that it'll still be fresh on my lips here. It's a song called Steeples, inspired by all the brand new network of cell phone towers going up there in the world. This town's an unplugged TV, full of daytime dramas and unwritten sequels on empty screens. But I drive the back roads when there's time to see the old churches and their withered spires. The faithful left here a long time ago, but the congregation's just down the road. Gather round your steeples, gather round. Out by the bypass where they hang the signs, 2 golden wishbones and cheap pickup lines. Bring your open all day, open all year. Bring your pockets change and spend it here. A sidewalk prayer to a glowing screen. Satellites and stations up where heaven used to be. Broken skyline above the trees. Cell phone towers as far as the eye can see. Gather round your steeples, gather round. Take me home and lay me down. Goodness, darling, take off that crown. I wanna see you as you were made. I wanna free you from that cage. 'Cause some people walk 1,000 miles to find something holy or divine. But I got what I need, it's all right here. Found my steeples, jump and cheer. We'll gather round your steeples, gather round. Gather round your steeples, gather round. Gather round your steeples, gather round. Gather round. Gather round, gather round, gather round.
Rockin' Roots on 91.3 WUKY. Ben Sollee live here in the studio. Brand new song. And Ben, when you play that song at Phoenix Friday, I'm assuming that one's probably going to make the cut for your set list. On August 22nd down there at Phoenix Park, will you be having other artists join you, like on that particular song?
Well, you know, as I've built this career here in Kentucky, I've been able to be joined by a lot of good supporters and musical friends out there. So I'll be inviting them to come join us for different parts of the songs. But that one, definitely I'll be joined by my percussionist and good friend Jordan Ellis out of Frankfort, Kentucky, and probably some other musicians.
It's probably a more dynamic thing when you're performing with some percussion and everything, and you get that whole rock feel to it and everything. Probably
certainly
it's pretty exciting.
That's a very landscapey version of the song when it's just solo.
I understand that you played up in Louisville at their Waterfront Wednesday, FBK's little event that they've got. It's turned into a big event, and you broke the record, I understand.
I'm not sure if it was me who broke the record, but I certainly headlined the largest of the Waterfront Wednesdays to date. They estimate about 17,500 people show up.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
It was really cool. And for the show, for some of my friends for that show, we had monks, Tibetan monks from the Drepung Gomong Institute there in Louisville. We had the mayor of Louisville came up, and we did a musical rendition of a Wendell Berry poem. We had Rachel Grimes from the Rachels, and she did a wonderful job. We had musicians from the 23 String Band, and we had musicians from Liberation Prophecy, all great, roots, jazz composers. I mean, we just had a lot of really, really cool stuff. We even had the band Houndmouth stop by for the encore.
Wow, that is pretty cool.
It was really, really special, and we got a lot of wonderful feedback. And one of the things that we did with that concert was we tried to weave in the narrative of the tree canopy into the concert, because Louisville, like many cities, struggles to have a proper tree canopy over it, which, at first you're like, it doesn't have enough trees. What's the big deal? Well, it's a pretty big deal because you lose a lot of your water assets to the heat. You can't keep the cool into the city. And often it's a problem that divides itself among some socioeconomic lines in the city. So the people in the nice neighborhoods don't think it's a problem because they have trees. People in the poor neighborhood don't necessarily think it's a problem because, well, they've never had trees. So it's a big thing that needs a unifying thing like music to help spread the message about it. So we obviously talked a lot about the tree canopy issue in the concert, and Louisville happens to be on the top 10 cities for the worst heat island effect in the country.
Interesting, yeah.
And but we also incorporated some technological elements that helped us tell the story. We built by hand, custom, an interactive LED light canopy that went out over the audience, and it was controlled with hand gestures and motions by a puppeteer through some software that we wrote with the owner of the Kentucky Coffee Tree in Frankfurt. So it was a real community effort, and really happy that it happened. And we'll probably use some of those same elements in the show coming up at Phoenix Friday.
That sounds really exciting. You can find out more about WUKY's Phoenix Fridays on our website at WUKY.org. Talking with Ben Sollee right here live in the studio. And Ben, you've had such an amazing career so far in your young life, performing with so many different people, of course, with Abigail Washburn and Bela Fleck, with the Sparrow Quartet. You even, and a lot of people may not know this, but you actually toured with and recorded with bluesman Otis Taylor, which was pretty fun. That's not even something that's always in your biography, but I know for a fact you did that. Yep. And that was kind of cool. And you've already mentioned, of course, performing on Wood Songs for a number of years and touring with Michael and doing that stuff. So you've worked with a lot of different kinds of people, performing all different kinds of music. I'm sure that's helped inform your songwriting, performing all these different styles.
Absolutely. And it's made me a better collaborator. And I think that's really important to my musical health. It's just learning how to and executing different people's ideas. And has allowed me also to branch out into lots and lots of other types of design and art. Just here recently in Lexington, I was the sound designer for an interactive sculpture that's it's the prototype for an interactive sculpture that we've put on display at the Downtown Arts Center called Livestream. And I composed a matrix of sounds that were fed data from different groundwater sites around Kentucky. Groundwater is something that, of course, it's terribly hard to perceive, but something we really depend on. And we took that data, and it would feed like a piano scroll, like a digital piano scroll, through this library of sounds that I composed. And that comes out of all these pipes and things in the room, and that allows people to really interact with the sound of groundwater. So that's a great example of how composing not just songs, but also sounds and scores for movies and so on have been influenced by all these different artists that I go out to. But I never seem to lose my sense of just place, because I really find that Kentucky is a really inspiring place. Whether I'm coming home from Tibet or Seattle or Lawrence, Kansas, I find myself continually inspired by this place, the hills in this place, and all the good people here.
Well, that's perfect because the next WKY Phoenix Friday is an all-Kentucky affair. We've got Josh Nolan. Are you familiar with Josh?
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
And Coralie and the Townies, Lexington folks, along with yourself, Ben. And so it'll be a perfect opportunity to support Kentucky music and, hear some new sounds and some interesting sounds. Again, information at WUKY.org. Ben Sollee with us here at WKY. And you got your cello again. Is it possible to get another song out of you?
Sure. And while I tune up, I'll just say that, ironically, the last time I have shared a bill with Coralie and the Townies was at Phoenix. Was it Phoenix Hill Tavern or Phoenix Tavern up in Louisville?
Oh, maybe, yeah.
I think it is Phoenix Hill Tavern.
Yeah.
And that was many years ago.
Could I make a request?
Sure.
I know that you did an album a while back. It was kind of a covers album. Is there something off of that maybe might trip people out? Something funky, something bizarre? Maybe they something off of the
beaten path.
Yeah, off the beaten path. Something that maybe as a curveball. Is there something in your repertoire?
My repertoire is full of knuckleballs and curveballs. I've got a few speedballs, but
what do you feel like? What do you feel like?
How about a Paul Simon tune?
Outstanding.
We'll do this tune. It's called "Obvious Child." I've grown accustomed to the smoother ride. Or maybe I'm a dog who's lost his bite. I don't expect to be cheated like a fool no more. I don't expect to sleep through the night. Some people say a lie's a lie's a lie. I say why deny the obvious? Why deny the obvious, child? And then remembering a roadside, I am remembering a girl when I was young. And we said these songs are true, these days are ours, these tears are free. And the cross is in the ballpark, the cross is in the ballpark. And we had a lot of fun, we had a lot of money. We had a little son, we thought we called him Sonny. Sonny gets married and moves away. Sonny has a baby and bills to pay. Sonny is sunnier day by day by day. And I've been waking up at sunrise. I've been following the light across my room. I watch the night receive the light of my day. Some people say the sky is just the sky. I say why deny the obvious? Why deny the obvious? Why deny the obvious, child? Sonny sits by his window and thinks to himself, how it's strange that some rooms are like cages. Sonny's yearbook from high school is down from the shelf, and he idly thumbs through the pages. Some have died, some have fled from themselves, a struggle from here to get there. Sonny wanders beyond his interior walls and runs his hands through his thinning brown hair. I've grown accustomed to the smoother ride. Maybe I'm a dog who's lost his bite. I don't expect to be treated like a fool no more. I don't expect to sleep through the night. Some people say a lie's a lie's a lie. I say why deny the obvious? Why deny the obvious? Why deny the obvious, child?
Rockin' Roots on 91.3 WUKY. Ben Sollee live performing Paul Simon's Obvious Child. Have you ever met Paul Simon?
I have not met that guy. Recently had an opportunity to play as part of a tribute to Paul Simon at Carnegie Hall back in March.
That's pretty cool.
And that was a pretty cool thing. I performed one of his more contemporary songs called Wartime Prayer, which I think is fairly fitting for what's going on in the news these days.
Indeed, yeah. Well, were you on the bill with a bunch of other luminaries?
Bunch of great, just great folks. Betty Levette, Hart, Brett Dennen, just so many wonderful.
That's a wild array. Just that right there is a wild array of artists.
There was 20 artists on the bill.
Wow. Was Paul in the house at some? Was he?
I don't think so.
No,
I don't think so. But Angelique Kidjo was in the house, and I got to all stand on stage and sing with her, which was pretty fun. Oh, man,
that's good enough right there.
Exactly.
That's pretty cool. Of course, Ben Sollee, you can catch him live next Friday, August 22nd, for the next installment of WUKY's Phoenix Fridays. It's free, people. We're talking about great music right here in Lexington, and you can find out some information on it on WUKY.org. And, Ben, is there anything else that you can tell the folks out there that may entice them to come out and see you play along with these other great artists, Josh Nolan and Corley and the Townies? What do you think?
Wow, what might entice them? Well, I think the fact that this is an inaugural event. I mean, this is the first year that you all are doing this, and I'm super proud that it's happening in our town. So I think if anything can entice them, it's just get out there and support the fact that people are really trying to give a center to Lexington. And Lexington has been off center for a lot of the years that I've been growing up here, and I'm excited to see it kind of getting a center to the town.
That's right. And, of course, it's right by the Central Public Library downtown, and it's a beautiful library, and we're proud to be right there in Phoenix Park. Ben Sollee, along with Corley and the Townies, Josh Nolan. The event starts right around 5. The music will start thereafter, but it's going to be a lot of music for your buck, which is nothing. So
it's free. It doesn't get better than that.
Doesn't get
it's all ages. And
exactly,
I think that's
all
a
ages.
Special thing.
Yeah, we've the last couple that we've had a lot of families. We've had people of all ages and all different walks of life. But I would say one thing, Ben. I have a feeling this is going to be a big one. I think that between you and Corley and Josh and all the people in Lexington who know who you all are, it's going to be a good crowd down there.
Yeah, and don't be scared of the cello. The cello won't hurt, nor will it make you have to dress up in fancy clothes. The cello can be yours for the steep price of free $99.
Ben Sollee, thank you for coming back. You have to come back when your EP comes out.
Sure.
We'd love to have you come in and perform again and maybe bring some friends with you next time.
Absolutely.
Outstanding. Ben Sollee on WUKY, again playing on August 22nd for the next WUKY Phoenix Friday. Information, WUKY.org.